Welcome back. Now, we were just talking about the girls. Now it's time to talk about the boys' playoff action starting up in Maryland. Brandon, we had our dream matchup last night in the 3A playoffs.
We sure did. We all knew since the Summer League that the two teams that were going to have to meet up in the 3A were Bennett and Decatur to see who could move on to the state quarterfinals potentially. Well, we saw that last night over in Berlin. So let's watch now as Decatur and Bennett squaring off for the third time. It was round 3 between these two combatants, and the Seahawks looking for the clean sweep. They would get it. Starting the second half now, Decatur showing off the ball movement. They've been doing this all year long. Zachary Baker, one of the unsung heroes on this Decatur team. Seahawks trying to keep things rolling. Chandler's shot no good. There's Jace Hudson with the board. Basketball pass ahead to Kai Smulla, and those two are going to be fantastic for Bennett in that backcourt, not just this year, but also next year. Clippers trying to keep things close. Hudson, pocket pick, tried Wise with the steal and the throwdown, Devin.
Yeah, that was a great dunk right there. Decatur goes up by as much as 16 with 3 minutes left to go in the fourth, so you would think the game was over, but nope. The Clippers, they cut into it. Hudson drives, and that's off the glass, and that's good. It was a 4-point game with less than a minute to go, but the Seahawks would not surrender that lead. They almost choke it away, but they don't. They hold on to punch their ticket to the regional finals. That's next Tuesday, so Decatur goes on to win it 70-66.
Yeah, and B.J. Johnson was emphatic after this game. Like, you can't give up these leads, and he's absolutely right. You're not just trying to win the regionals this year.
Trying to win the state championship.
This team has state championship aspirations, so they know that. They're going to try and close out better from here on out. They have to. You're going to try and win the regional
Things like that could
final.
definitely cost them down the line. Now, speaking of the regional finals, we got to go to the 2A regional finals. Two Bayside North rivals who know each other very well will be facing each other on Tuesday. Queen Anne's will play host to Easton. Now, these two squads, in my opinion, Brandon, were number 2 and number 3 in the Bayside North after the Cambridge South Dorchester Vikings. Now, Queen Anne's took down Parkside 62-55 to get to this game. Easton beating Y-High by 13. As Bayside North rivals, they played each other twice during the regular season, and they split it. The first game came down to Queen Anne's, who blew out the Warriors 78-56. The second game, the Warriors got revenge, winning 66-60. Both squads have top-tier talent, but when I think of the Warriors, their sophomore stud Marshall Bailey always comes to mind with how talented of a player he is. Number 24, getting that steal on your screen. But the Lions have been able to maintain their high level of play from last year and bringing it to this season.
Yeah, the Lions have a few different senior leaders on this team, plus they've got the size and some outside shooters on the roster. They are clutch. Everyone remembers Hollis Branch's game winner against the Vikings. I think they're a very balanced team. The Lions did beat Cambridge earlier this year, but Easton has also beaten Queen Anne's this year. Devin, you got anyone you think is going to win this matchup?
That's tough. I want to say Easton, but I'm gonna go Queen Anne's.
Yeah, I'm going to go Easton. I think that Marshall Bailey is the X factor in this game. I don't think that Queen Anne's has a guard who can match up with him. And you know what? I'm saying that so that Queen Anne's proves me wrong. I want to see that. All right, now to some more Bayside hoops from last night. Colonel Richardson hosting Bone Manor. Colonel's building a 5-point lead, but it slips away from them early on after halftime. Colonel's trapped along the baseline here, and Bow Manor able to force the issue, getting the turnover and getting points on the other end. That's how they were able to get back in this game and actually take the lead. Makai Batson was the difference maker for Colonel Richardson in the third quarter. He got multiple steals and got a lot of buckets off of those steals as well. So Colonel Richardson defeating Bow Manor last night, and they move on to the regional final.
Yeah, they win that game by 12. They were led by Drayden Dake, who had 21. Jazeer Dickerson added 16. So they will be facing Perryville for that regional final game on Tuesday, Brandon.
All right, now let's go to what's probably the best regional final matchup, Cambridge and Snow Hill. Each win in their 1A regional semis. So that brings us to Cambridge and Snow Hill coming up on Tuesday. This game is going to be a doozy. You're going to want to get there early for this one. These two squads played to open the season. The Vikings won that one, and Cambridge would go on to only lose one game by 1 point and eventually take the Bayside Championship as well, winning against Decatur. I have a hard time thinking that Cambridge is not going to win this game. As good as Snow Hill is, that is nothing against Snow Hill.
It can go either way, Brandon. I mean, there's a lot to be said about both of these teams. Obviously, Snow Hill has great scoring, a triple-headed monster. Tyler Reddick, you see him on the screen, that and one. Jaden Hudson is a monster coming back to Snow Hill this year. Obviously, he was with Decatur. He obviously scored his 1,000th point earlier this season. And so did Keandre Nixon coming over from Pocomoke. All of those guys can drop 20 at any given notice. Plus, they have some good size, good rim protection thanks to Xavier Dixie's definitely shot.
I'm glad that you mentioned him because he has been fantastic in the paint this year for Snow Hill.
Yeah, he's great. And then the defense,
big difference maker.
The defense for both teams are really good. Cambridge has only allowed 860 points on the season, 862 points on the season. Snow Hill has only allowed 989, one of 2 of 3 Bayside teams who have given up less than 1,000 points on the entire season, Brandon.
All right, so let us know what you think on our social media pages, 47 ABC Sports. Who do you think is the better team, Cambridge or Snow Hill? Let us know right now. All right, so now let's move up to the first state. We're going to talk about the one and only team that's left from the Henlopen Conference, the Dover Senators, who are now in the DIAA quarterfinals. They've been everything as advertised so far this year. 18-2, riding a 12-game winning streak.
And they're the Henlopen champs, too.
And their only 2 losses were by 1 point each. So the Senators have been in a class by themselves compared to the rest of the conference. Senators only losing by 1 point to St. E's, who is maybe the best team in Delaware, and 1 point to Decatur during the Governor's Challenge.
Off a game winner.
Off a game winner.
That was a tough shot.
19-1 easily. So the other Henlopen squads they faced this season is Smyrna, who they lost to by 6, and Polytech, who they blew out earlier this year.
Yeah, that's St. George's. So, so St. George's, I think that they just don't have enough firepower to hang with Dover. Again, they lost to Smyrna to end the season, and then they played Polytech, blew them out, as you said. Dover has just been, they've been consistent.
The thing that Dover has that St. George's doesn't have to match up with is a guard to guard Denham Perkins. I think that St. George's has fantastic coaching. They've got a great front court, but the back court is where I think that Dover is going to win this game.
And that's where they've won a lot of games this year. Denham Perkins has been great as a senior leader for the Senators. Now, that's it for this block. Coming up, Chief Meteorologist Rich Wurzik will be back with a look at your weekend forecast. Plus, we have all the headlines from across Delmarva coming right here on Delmarva Sports Insider. That is next after the break.
I am Jaden Hudson, and I play for Snow Hill, and you're watching Delmarva Sports Insider.